Happy ReZero Day. We got some cut content of the last episode before we watch the most recent one. Remember, how do we check out the most recent one? Instead of waiting on YouTube, maybe check on my channel and see that I'm live. I'm live right now. I tell you, join that fucking stream. All you gotta do is click a goddamn link. It's that simple, okay? Listen, there's a reason why the fucking thing is looking at the computer screen above, because that's not what I'm streaming. I'm telling you, through my phone. Now, Subaru's most insane loop. Was this the most insane loop? Depends on your semantics. I think about insane insanity. I think about episode 15. I think about Betelgeuse mocking Subaru that you're just acting insane, right? So that was, I think, when Subaru truly was just mind broken. There were some other crazy loops too here and there, right? I remember a lot of moments in season 2, especially like the kiss of death or getting eaten by rabbits, right? That shit was fucking insane. But this too was insane. And everyone was literally going schizo because of the miasma. Tell me, AniNews.
It's crazy to think that this is just the beginning of Subaru's journey to the Watchtower. The miasma adds a very disturbing element of psychological horror, while the mob beast boss straight out of Dark Souls brings that
Horse
seemingly
King.
insurmountable obstacle back.
Hungry.
The fight with that boss was, however, rushed to make room for the whole descent into madness, a choice I'm honestly okay with considering how good those scenes were.
Yeah, I think they might have been able to speed up the first half, which was just kind of walking in the darkness of the sand. Right? Because I don't think it would have been taken that much to add in Subaru dying by the Hungry Horse King by being burnt alive, right? That was messed up. Because like he went left first, got burnt up, went right, went insane, and then went left again. Again, if he kind of did that, it'd be kind of crazy knowing that you're choosing left, fully aware of what's ahead of you, right? Maybe there could have been different structuring of the episode.
Still, some pretty gruesome details were left out, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about here. Let's get started.
But before we get started,
Episode 69.
No ad?
The Keeper of the Watchtower.
69.
Covering chapters 4 and 5 from volume 21 of the light novel.
Okay.
Here we are, down in the caves beneath the dunes. Subaru with Ram, Aridina, and Patrash. I'm sure there might be a bit more to it, but Subaru's reasoning for grabbing Ram was purely instinctual.
That's right. She's been calling him Badasu for 4 seasons, and he's tired of it. And he realized that this is a perfect opportunity to finally kill this little demon. Is what I would say if I was Kaka TV. I did say that in the reaction.
He had reflexively grabbed onto her over anyone else. Now, if you're wondering why Ram didn't just use clairvoyance to check on the locations of everyone else, that's because her wavelength didn't overlap with any of the others.
Wavelength?
Well, there was at least one, but to connect with her would be useless. Besides, if anyone was even close to
Yeah, what are you looking at? Darkness? Those eyes are closed.
begin with, they probably would have tried to meet up already. Other than Meili, no one really had any reason to try and avoid the group. Subaru was fairly certain she wouldn't try to escape like that, but as a girl who tried to kill them once already, Ram was justifiably a bit more skeptical.
Not even just try. Did. At least killed Petra, though. Kind of crazy how Petra wanted to make friends after it, because, I mean, she doesn't know.
In any case, with the truth of the miasma having already been explained back at the tavern, the heaviness of the air indicated they were in an area filled with it. So, unlike how in the anime the miasma
Corrupted
wasn't
mana.
revealed till after the first loop, Subaru was already well aware they were somewhere incredibly dangerous. Now, while it was true this wasn't the most ideal party, Aridina privately told Subaru that she would use magic if she had to. Of course, she didn't want to shave away at Anastasia's life, but if push came to shove, she would do what was necessary. It's for that reason she had high hopes in Subaru.
He should have said cut away to Anastasia's life, just to kind of play on to her getting her torso cut off by Ram.
So, in the novel, Subaru would be relegated to the position of foot servant, while Ram and Aridina both got to ride on Patrash. Walking in sand really went to sap his endurance though, so multiple breaks needed to be taken. It was during them that Ram would continue her search with clairvoyance, and Subaru would reflect on just how awful he'd been. He of all people should have known just how devoted Ram was to her sister, since this past year she'd been the one taking care of her. Despite not even remembering any part of her, day after day Ram was the one who was there for her.
Let's go, Ram!
So, to question that devotion, even after seeing it every day for a year, was a pretty big oversight.
Ram is not a LARPer. Even if she knows nothing about Ram, the fact that she's putting effort in, Okay.
Ocean, even after seeing it every day for a year, was a pretty big oversight.
Acknowledged.
Echidna's words did help him feel a little bit better, but considering how these were the same tactics Echidna used to ensnare him before, Subaru couldn't help but remain wary of her.
Be on guard.
Echidna wished Subaru would see the two of them as separate entities, but for him, that was probably gonna take some time.
It doesn't feel like there's anything that they have in common other than this name.
Now, it was deeper into the cave they went that unease and anxiety started to grow. Not only that, the lack of mob beasts was pretty disturbing. This could very well have been a mob beast den, yet for some reason not a single one showed itself.
Because they're all scared shitless of the hungry horse king, right?
Ram couldn't even find one with her clairvoyance. This led them to believe perhaps they were shut off from the world, stuck in a rift of space not connected to anywhere. They were, however, following the faintest breath of wind, so if that was the case, that shouldn't have been possible. It's then that the group would stumble upon a crossroads, Subaru using the teachings of Zhuge Liang to pick a direction.
Zhuge
I
Liang!
know the anime decided to use Sigmund Freud, but
Putty
here in the
Picome.
novel it was the 2nd century Chinese strategist.
It's your boy Kong Ming!
In a way, this crossroads did come as a kind of relief though, since it confirmed for everyone they weren't stuck in a loop. On the other hand, it did make the sage seem
Good
more
God.
scary than they already were. If this was yet another of their traps, then sinister would be the only way to describe them.
Sinister. I mean, she killed Subaru multiple times. Everything just feels like a test though, but she's like a #1 glazer based off of the other promotional videos and the trailers we watched. So it feels all fucked up, but you gotta realize like, hey, Ram killed us too, right? There's been many times where like these friends that we have once back then, right, in the heat of the moment, shit was scary. So Charlotte's probably gonna do the same thing.
It led Ram to wonder whether the sage would even answer their questions. If the sage went this far as to keep visitors out, then Ram felt she might have to resort to more persuasive methods to get her answers.
I'll have to string them up. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, Ram is really strong, but like, okay, I thought that's when like she has her horn. Like she's talking big right now.
Persuasive methods to get her answers. It was once at the door soon after that a proper discussion would be had about turning back. Reason being that if a passage was blocked, it must be blocked for a reason. Given how every metaphorical roadblock was to make the path to the tower a lot more difficult though, it was hard to believe this passage was anything other than a direct path to the tower. So for everyone, forward was the only answer. Eventually, the miasma would start to chip away at them, heavying their mood and body in a way that made it clear they weren't supposed to be there.
We're getting
The
mad.
only reason they kept moving forward regardless is because Subaru believed doing so would lead them to everyone else. He kept
I feel like if we ever go down this path again, we need to mute all chat. So one of the best things that I did in my League of Legends career when I was grinding, and I realized that like talking to people is the reason why everyone starts tilting. We can communicate through pings. If I mute everybody, there's no beef happening, and that was like the most enlightened and positive interaction. So here, right, you need to just, nobody can talk, just shut the fuck up, right? Everyone shut up and just move and just signals, that's it, just pings.
telling himself the miasma was going to go away. He forced himself to believe Amelia and the others were waiting up ahead for him. The novel does an excellent job conveying just how heavy
Damn,
the weight
he's
of the
mad.
miasma becomes, hinting here and there the way it was changing them.
The descriptiveness, the drumbeat of the heart, blood flowing.
The anime does an even better job portraying it, but if you're wondering how long they were walking before they lost it, according to Subaru, it was something like hours. Well, actually it was only Subaru walking, so when the dead end was reached and Ram made her comments about it, Subaru perceived that as disrespect coming from someone who wasn't doing any work. Like, it was easy for her to talk while not having to trudge through sand the same way Subaru was. Subaru believed this to be Ram looking down on him, so when she started saying all that stuff about Ram, that's when Subaru gave in to the dark feelings eating away at him.
He got rage baited, all that guilt about Rim exploding.
All he did though was drag her off Patrash and throw her into the dirt, not punch her with an impact that would rupture her organs.
Oh my god.
The ensuing fight would then happen exactly as we saw it, the only thing missing a few extra insults from Ram.
Stupidity is a disease caught by spending too much time talking to idiots. So shut up and die before you pass it to me. She's so great. Ram is my favorite character maybe. Not favorite character, but like she's up there. Ram has always been my favorite twin. Her just foul mouth and how base she is. I love how she has no bullshit, just all facts. Sometimes a bit too aggressive. And right now, this is pretty aggressive, but funny.
Surprisingly, Subaru would actually feel confident in his matchup against her, thinking his
I'm surprised that he actually won. Dude, he was like choking her and like tossed her body around. I thought Ram was really strong, even nerfed without a horn. I was actually shocked. Like this little body also took a blow when the Hungry Horse King was attacking. Remember? Ram literally like did a maneuver over Patraj to protect Subaru using her frail body. That was getting tossed around by Subaru here. Like it's like, what?
whip would be faster than Ram's ability to activate her magic. So, with speed alone, Subaru was ready to gouge Ram's face out.
Oh my god.
He was determined to make
Gouge
it so
it out?
no one else in the world looked like Ram.
That's right. You keep saying like you remind me of Ram.
As we saw, Aridina would beat him to it, then the reason Subaru didn't lash out at her next is because, unlike Ram, she was still useful. Subaru was of sound enough mind to understand Aridina was still his guide to the watchtower.
Okay.
He would still be hesitant anyway though, unsure whether shaking Aridina's hand was the best idea.
Teehee, with the knife behind her back. Where did she get the knife from? I guess she just has a blade in the bag.
She was, after all, wielding a knife, and to enter into handshake range would conveniently make his
hell
own
no.
weapon useless.
Should have shook that hand with invisible providence.
That being the case, it was these two factors that would lead Subaru to the conclusion Aridina needed to die too. Not only that, he was ready to snap her neck in order to avoid making the same mistake he made with Ram.
Okay.
Yet again, Subaru would miss the opportunity though, surprised instead by you-know-what.
This is crazy. This goes to show how like insane this wind magic is. Like that torso just got clean cut off. And then I was kind of like wondering, did Ram miss? Was this an accident? Because like why didn't she kill Subaru with Anastasia here? Did a part of her, I don't know, like untilted mindset come back and realize that Subaru's in danger and try to protect him? Like what's this?
The gore was shockingly on par with the way it was described in the novel, only missing Aridina's lower half soiling itself.
That shit danced and then fell. Just meat sack flesh noises, crazy.
It is worth noting this was a wound Aridina should have died immediately to, so the fact she didn't really made Subaru question his sanity.
And then we get a switchback, right? We also see a scarf that's bloodied, which is a nice little nod to head that like, hey, that is actually Echidna. And now this is Anastasia, she's back.
Like, for a person who just got cut in half, her grip remained pretty strong regardless.
Death grip.
Now, in the anime, the scene with Patraj.
Remember, we also smelled her shit too. Her digestive organs, intestines, bile, all that nasty shit just dripping out, smelling that foul odor. I don't want to die! Dude, something about like, I don't want to die is such a riveting line. Like, it's so shocking. The calm, collected merchant just begging and panicking with this face. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. It's like, whoa.
Regardless. Now, in the anime, the scene with Patraj would come next, but what happened first was an
That laugh is crazy. Bro was eating ram. You saw. Sis was eating ram. She had Ram's fucking head in the eye and the mouth. It was just like very dark, but if you increase the brightness, you can see her.
The scene with Patraj would come next, but what happened first was another face-off with Ram.
Oh, another one?
She was still alive somehow, slowly
Round
stumbling
two?
towards him with whatever energy she had left.
Oh shit.
It was clear she was intent on finishing him off the same way she did to Aridina.
Okay, then the whole schizo theory about Ram trying to save Subaru after she recollected her sense is wrong. She simply missed. Or maybe she realized, nah, I'm gonna kill. No, she could have killed him right there. Interesting. I guess she just missed.
It was in all the prior chaos that Subaru had lost his whip though, so with no other
Not the
means to
whip.
defend himself, he would choose to rely on invisible providence again.
We missed out on scenes of Subaru whipping Anastasia and Ram. I'm kind of mad. It's a funny image. Just, I don't know. The whip is already kind of like a funny tool because of its like BDSM implications. Could you imagine?
The thing is, after using it twice already, the third was far too much for him.
Okay.
A searing pain overwhelmed his eye like a needle was being pushed straight through it.
Spamming it.
Tears of blood would erupt from them next, the agony causing him to roll on the floor all in Aridina's guts.
Now I'm wondering, Betelgeuse bleeding out from his eyes and mouth or whatever in season 1, is that a side effect of him using his authority? Like, I guess so.
From them next, the agony causing him to roll on the floor all in Aridina's guts.
Oh god, oh! The poop guts? Oh hell no!
Would be the moment Ram would ready herself to deliver the finishing blow, up until Patrash would beat her to it. Again, the anime does a fantastic job depicting just how gruesome this all was, so with that happening pretty much the same, only 2 things need to be added.
Patrash felt like some Jurassic Park velociraptor. The twitching, the reactions, the way that it like is feasting and then looks at the camera, the speediness, it's scary.
The first is Subaru's realization his negative emotions were being amplified to a scary degree, then the second came right after Patrash had killed him. For some reason, despite having lost his head, Subaru could still hear the sound of his body being chewed at.
That's fucking crazy. What? Like a chicken running around with the head cut off. The head is still like, it's like there. You're dying, but you can hear your own head being grinded in this Earth Dragon's mouth.
His head was shattered and his ears no more, yet
Oh.
somehow the sound of Patrash feasting on his flesh was still audible to him.
Oh god.
It was a weird sensation he couldn't make any sense out of. In the end, Subaru would die at the jaws of his very own partner, his consciousness absorbing the feeling long after what should have been possible.
Vegetarian my ass, bro. Patrash. Like, it's funny how everyone started to kill each other, and Patrash did kill Subaru, but like Patrash, like the miasma made Patrash be a carnivore instead of a vegetarian.
It was when that consciousness finally resurfaced again that it wasn't his death which affected him like this. No, it was the visceral deaths of everyone else. His death was something he was very well versed in, but when it came to the deaths of those close to him, that really tore away at him.
Also by his own hands.
Especially when they were as gruesome as these. So, Subaru would vomit at the thought of Ram's previous fate, forcing Ram to have to baby him. It did make Subaru feel a whole lot better, but what didn't was the way Ram mocked him for having to treat him this way. As thoughtful of a gesture as this was, it appeared Ram found great pleasure in getting to treat Subaru like an infant.
Okay. Subaru don't like to be goo goo gaga. Stop babying me, I'm a grown ass man.
Or at least tease him for acting like one. This confirmed things were back to normal, so it was during this time that Subaru would—
You think Ram does that to Roswell? Like, what's going on there? But I feel like Roswell will be the one that would be on Ram's lap instead of the other way around.
take the opportunity to explain things. He wanted Ram to know why it was he decided to grab her. With that clearly being a point of contention from the last loop, Subaru felt it was best to be honest. So the reason he did is because he was already holding on to her when the world started to shatter. Not only that,
It's just proximity.
it was in that moment that she was both the closest and the weakest.
That's
He
it.
wasn't trying to weigh her against anyone else. It truly was just him reacting reflexively.
Ouch. I didn't choose it because I wanted to. It's just, you know, you were just there. I still want to believe it's because he wanted to kill her after being called Barusu for 4 seasons.
Now, perhaps Subaru didn't need to explain himself at all, but he was sure there was some truth behind their outbursts in the last loop. Sure, their rage was definitely influenced by the miasma, but to think that was the only reason for it was foolish. So, Ram would accept his explanation the only way she knew how, abusing Subaru both verbally and physically.
Idiot. I'm sick and tired of your dribbling excuses. It's pointless to keep blaming yourself. There's no meaning in searching for someone else to blame either. You have things you should be doing instead of wasting time like that. She's right. And now he's gonna be, you know, angry and upset about this line and waste even more time.
Her words would serve to remind him of what was really important though, so the only thing they could do was keep going forward. It was when Patrash and Anastasia showed up after that the sight of his killer would shock Subaru a bit. Her actions in the last loop had left quite the scar on him. This wouldn't be the first time this happened though, so when compared to the
He'll
way
get
Ram
over
tried
it.
to kill him, Patrash's involuntary manslaughter wasn't really anything. All he needed was time to process it.
Yeah, and Patrash has been a good girl and she's been there protecting us so many times. You know, like, she deserves it. Patrash has been goaded. She deserves to kill Subaru.
I couldn't tell you whether he was going about the right way of doing so, but in his own words, he would call his pain and sense of loss fake. To him, they were figments of his imagination that he decided weren't real.
What?
That probably wasn't the healthiest way to go about it, but
I mean, it works. I mean, whatever, you know, makes his mindset steel to keep tanking.
for now, it was the only mindset that would help him overcome the fear he was feeling.
Okay.
A mindset Patrash would look upon with concern in her eyes. Now, Subaru's own concern wasn't in an attempt to detect the miasma's influence early, it was simply out of consideration for the companions he watched die only moments ago. He was genuinely worried for these people he cared about. It's not like he could straight up tell them how important they were though, as even without saying anything, Ram would call him a pervert anyway. At the crossroads, Subaru would do a terrible job justifying his decision, but what he did do was make clear Zhuge Liang was not to be trusted. His desperation would
Kong Ming.
ultimately get the others to go along with him, so as they traversed down the unexplored left path, Subaru would contemplate the situation he was in. He was bothered by how quickly his save point changed, since if anything happened to those he was separated from, he wouldn't be able to use his own life to save them. It was a terrifying thought that brought flashbacks to the whole Rem situation. Nothing scared him more than a loss he wasn't able to fix.
Oh, that's the save points, right? Oh my god, these save points are so deadly. We don't want to ever have one done when other people are kind of fucked up.
So, it was as Subaru prayed for their safety that eventually he would stumble upon this Dark Souls boss arena.
Oh.
What Subaru would see first wasn't
The
Fulgor,
bears.
champion of Nightglow. It was instead another Oiran bear.
He's a very big Dark Souls enjoyers to bring out such a specific reference like that. Pretty cool.
Champion of Nightglow. It was instead another Oiran bear. Subaru would be stuck trying to decide between fight or flight long enough for the bear to charge at him. It was right as it did, though, that a spear and subsequent flames would vaporize it instantly.
Vaporize.
The ensuing encounter would then become the most rushed part of the episode, as before Ram and Patrash would jump in to save Subaru, he would first make multiple notable observations. The first was that this was a mob-beast crematorium, another trap just like the miasma, the Garden of Oiran bears, and the sandstorms.
Wonder why Shala just keeps this Hungry Horse King down there. Like, is there like a mob-beast respawn timer? Because she showed up and saved us and killed it. But like, why even have it alive in the first place?
His next observation came after standing only a few feet away from the centaur, attempting to hide his presence while standing right out in the open. A less experienced Subaru might have resigned himself to death, but the Subaru here had long forgotten the standard practice of being hopelessly killed by enemies far more powerful than him.
Okay.
If you think return by death is still his only method of fighting back, that would be to grossly underestimate him.
We got authorities, we got whip.
Subaru had died far too many times to let himself fall like this.
Okay.
So, when the centaur approached Subaru's direction but never attacked, Subaru quickly deduced it wasn't sure of his presence anymore. A few more observations later, and Subaru would come to the conclusion his opponent could neither smell nor see. Now, if this centaur was a mob beast that lived underground, then it wasn't impossible for it to have evolved to lose its vision over time.
Underground creature. Just, I don't know, just hanging around just in the dark. It's a really cool design, but like its purpose, it feels kind of lonely. Just, I'm empathizing for the Hungry Horse King. I don't know, I don't know. I don't know if he feels happy or not, but bro just wandering around in the darkness in this underground world. I guess that's his thing.
Instead, relying solely on sound. Subaru would then confirm this by throwing his water bottle, the impact of which would send.
Like, I wonder who even gave him these weapons. You know what I mean? Like, is he born? Is the Hungry Horse King like a species? Did they come out of the womb with lances like that? Did Shala make the lances for him?
For it to have evolved to lose its vision over time, instead relying solely on sound. Subaru would then confirm this by throwing his water bottle, the impact of which would send the centaur charging right at it. This showed everyone what the centaur's peculiarity was, making it clear to even Ram and Aridina. It's the reason we see them not say anything here. No words were needed for Subaru to understand Ram wanted him to retreat, but in Subaru's mind, this was a golden opportunity.
Okay.
To him, the odds of falling into this pit in the exact same way that a bear would distract the centaur was unlikely. So, if this was the only time Subaru might get to limit test, he decided he would make the most out of it.
Battle
He
instinct?
would use his coins to send the centaur running in one direction, then use that distraction as an opportunity to run the opposite way. It was right as he was about to make a break for it though that Ram would take him, herself, and Anastasia all hostage.
What?
If Subaru wasn't gonna listen and retreat like how she wanted him to, then with her wand in
Hostage?
hand, she was ready to attract the centaur to all of them.
Ram, what are you doing? I'm sure she's got a good plan. Maybe she's just doing this for Subaru's sake. What?
Immediately, Subaru understood this was Ram acting out of concern for him, so
Oh.
before he could do anything too reckless, he would decide to retreat.
Okay.
By then, the centaur's attention was back on him though, so Subaru would try to mask his steps with the sound of even more coins. That, however, didn't work for long as, despite Subaru not making a sound, the centaur seemed to always lock back in on him. It was then that everyone realized this centaur had echolocation.
Yep.
Every time it opened its mouth to roar, that was it getting a vivid look at its surroundings. So at this point, Subaru had no choice but to run for his life, even using his whip to swing around its body in a circle.
That would have been cool to
It didn't take long
see.
for the centaur to knock Subaru
Right there is when Ram actually comes in and uses her small body that was getting just forced around by Subaru before and protects. It's kind of crazy. It's absolutely insane here. Patrash also takes a pretty big hit.
the centaur to knock Subaru off, after which its cry would turn into a laugh. That's right,
A
this
laugh?
small beast was intelligent enough to know it was toying with Subaru.
Okay.
That's when Subaru would resort to the only tool he had left, his invisible providence, which he knew guaranteed him at least one free hit. Well, activating it was no problem, but the instant he was about to attack with it, an unimaginably intense pain rocked his head all the way through.
Again?
I couldn't tell you why that is, but the centaur wasn't gonna wait for Subaru to recover.
Well, it's just because he's abusing the authority, right? Every time he uses it, it hurts. He's been getting better at it, right? He adapted more. Before he used it and he just got like a stomach ache, but lately it's been like a bit better.
So, right as Subaru was about to be incinerated, Patrash would jump in and tear the centaur's arm off.
Oh, we missed that! What the hell? Patrash got a hit in! The arm got ripped off?
Was about to be incinerated, Patrash would jump in and tear the centaur's arm off.
Huh.
She would then grab Subaru and run away with him, dodging the ensuing attacks to the best of her ability. Subaru, still writhing in unimaginable pain, would be spurred into action by one single line from Ram.
Don't make
Knowing
Rem
the
cry.
one girl who needed him most was still waiting for him, that led him to push through the pain. It allowed
You know how you make Rem not cry ever again? Do nothing. I feel like if anything, if you bring her back, she's gonna inevitably cry.
him to activate Invisible Providence again, despite his body doing everything it could to prevent it. It lasted just long enough to deflect the centaur's spear, but
Okay.
at the same time caused him even more pain. In the end, the outcome would be just as we saw, and Ram and Subaru would get saved by the Mystery Lady.
Good God. I wonder if this pain and the consequence of using the authority is going to stack up for an actual, like, real consequence. Or it's just like, oh, my tummy hurts because I used it. I don't know. It'd be cool if it was like building up to something.
That's where we'll pick things up next episode, so if you like this one and like learning more about it, consider leaving a like and subscribing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. AniNews, for always giving us some different types of cut content that we don't hear, right? Link to the video here. Please go check his channel out, like the video, and hype him up. I love this stuff. We gotta watch his 10-star cut content too. So, in this one, I guess it's a bit different from the Echidna video we watched, right? Regarding the cut content, as he went more into details about the combat, which is really cool to see, versus the Hungry Horse King. A lot of Patrash moments cut out, which I'm very saddened by. She literally went in and ripped his arm off. That's really cool. And Subaru also, again, being ballsy, trying to like solo the boss in his own way until Ram said, hey, get back here before we all die. Subaru showed a lot of like courage and bravery. Everyone's kind of pulling up. What else? That fucking face. No, that's pretty much it from me. See you next time. See you in the actual reaction.